Attraction is often assumed to be about appearance, confidence displays, or saying the right things at the right time. Many people believe attraction is created through humor, charm, status, or bold moves, but emotional attraction works differently. It is quieter, slower, and deeply rooted in how someone feels in another person's presence rather than what that person performs on the surface. Emotional experience plays a central role in connection. When someone feels safe, seen, and emotionally comfortable, attraction has space to grow naturally. This is because human beings are wired to move toward environments that feel psychologically safe. Safety reduces tension. It lowers defensiveness. It allows authenticity to appear. And authenticity is one of the strongest foundations of lasting attraction. Verbal performance, clever lines, rehearsed compliments, or attempts to impress can create short-term attention, but attention is not the same as attraction. Attention is momentary. Emotional attraction is relational. It builds over repeated experiences where someone consistently feels respected, heard, and not pressured. Many interactions fail because people focus on impressing rather than connecting. Impressing is outward-focused. It tries to create a reaction. Connection is inward-focused. It creates an experience. When someone is trying too hard to impress, the interaction can feel tense or transactional. But when someone is emotionally present, the interaction feels natural, which often increases attraction. Tone, pacing, and emotional responsiveness influence attraction more than scripted language. For example, when someone listens without interrupting, responds thoughtfully, and does not rush the interaction, it signals emotional regulation. Emotional regulation is perceived as stability, and stability is attractive because it suggests predictability and safety. Another important element is validation. Validation does not mean agreeing with everything. It means acknowledging someone's emotional reality. When a person feels emotionally acknowledged, they feel less alone in their experience. That feeling of being emotionally accompanied can create closeness faster than compliments ever could. Emotional attraction is also shaped by the absence of pressure. Pressure activates evaluation. People start thinking about whether they should respond, whether expectations are forming, or whether they are being pushed toward something. When pressure is low, curiosity increases. Curiosity is a powerful driver of attraction because it allows interest to unfold naturally instead of defensively. Consistency strengthens emotional attraction over time. One positive interaction can create interest, but repeated emotionally safe interactions create trust. Trust is where attraction deepens. Without trust, attraction often stays surface level or fades quickly. Another factor is emotional pacing. Moving too fast can create excitement, but it can also create uncertainty. Emotional pacing that feels steady allows someone to process their feelings comfortably. Comfort does not eliminate attraction. It stabilizes it. Stable attraction tends to last longer than intensity-based attraction. Nonverbal communication also plays a major role. Calm body language, attentive listening, and measured responses communicate presence. Presence signals that someone is engaged rather than performing. People often detect presence subconsciously, and it shapes how safe they feel. Emotional attraction also grows when someone feels they can be imperfect. If an interaction feels like a performance space, people become self-conscious. Self-consciousness reduces emotional openness. But when imperfection feels accepted, openness increases, and openness fuels connection. Importantly, emotional attraction is not manipulation. It cannot be manufactured through tactics alone. Attempts to use emotional language without genuine emotional availability often create the opposite effect. Humans are highly sensitive to inconsistency. When words suggest safety but behavior suggests pressure or self-interest, trust weakens quickly. Attraction rooted in emotional experience is slower, but it is more resilient. It survives awkward moments, differences, and normal relational friction because it is built on how someone feels rather than how impressive someone appears. In many cases, what people remember most is not what was said, but how they felt during the interaction. Feeling calm, respected, and emotionally acknowledged leaves a lasting impression. Over time, those impressions accumulate and form the basis of attraction that feels natural instead of forced. This is why attraction is more emotional than verbal performance. Words can open a door, but emotional experience determines whether someone wants to stay. When interactions prioritize presence over performance, listening over impressing, and safety over pressure, attraction becomes less about strategy and more about connection. And connection is what sustains interest long after the initial interaction. Emotional safety is one of the most powerful and least visible forces behind human connection. While attraction is often associated with excitement, chemistry, or physical appeal, emotional safety determines whether that attraction can grow, deepen, and last. Without emotional safety, interactions may feel stimulating in the moment but unstable over time. Emotional safety refers to the experience of feeling accepted without fear of judgment, dismissal, or pressure. It is the sense that one can speak, express emotions, or even remain silent without worrying that those responses will be criticized or used against them. When emotional safety is present, people become more authentic. Authenticity allows connection to move beyond surface conversation into genuine relational depth. Many people enter interactions scanning for cues of safety without realizing it. They notice tone, reactions, patience, and whether their feelings are minimized or respected. Small responses matter. Interrupting frequently, rushing someone's story, or turning the conversation back to oneself can reduce emotional safety. In contrast, listening fully, responding calmly, and allowing emotional space can increase it. Emotional safety reduces defensiveness. When someone feels they need to protect themselves, they filter what they say, hide vulnerability, or remain guarded. Guarded communication limits connection because real connection requires some degree of openness. Safety does not force vulnerability, but it makes vulnerability possible. Another reason emotional safety strongly influences connection is that it regulates the nervous system. When someone feels psychologically safe, their body shifts out of alert mode. They become more relaxed, more present, and more receptive. This physiological shift changes how interactions feel. Conversations flow more easily. Humor feels natural. Silence becomes comfortable rather than awkward. Respect plays a central role in emotional safety. Respect is communicated through boundaries, patience, and acknowledgement. Ignoring boundaries, pushing for faster closeness, or dismissing feelings signals risk rather than safety. Even subtle pressure can create hesitation, which weakens connection. Consistency reinforces emotional safety. One supportive interaction can create a positive impression, but repeated emotionally safe interactions create reliability. Reliability allows someone to predict that their experience will remain respectful. Predictability reduces anxiety, and reduced anxiety allows attraction to develop without internal resistance. Emotional safety also supports honesty. When people believe they will not be punished for expressing preferences, disagreements, or uncertainty, they communicate more clearly. Clear communication prevents misunderstandings and builds trust. Trust is the structure that connection rests on. Importantly, emotional safety does not mean constant agreement or the absence of conflict. It means conflict can occur without emotional threat. Someone can disagree while remaining respectful. They can express a different perspective without invalidating the other person's experience. This ability to maintain respect during differences is a strong signal of emotional maturity. Another factor is pacing. Emotional safety grows when interactions allow space rather than urgency. Urgency can feel like expectation, and expectation can feel like pressure. Pressure introduces evaluation. People start asking themselves whether they are moving too slow, saying the right things, or meeting hidden standards. And space removes that evaluation and replaces it with curiosity. Feeling emotionally safe also increases positive association. People naturally gravitate toward environments where they feel calm and accepted. Over time, they begin to associate those feelings with the person. This association strengthens connection because the interaction itself becomes a safe space. Emotional safety is communicated more through behavior than words. Someone can say reassuring things, but if their reactions are unpredictable or dismissive, safety does not form. Conversely, simple behaviors, remembering details, responding with patience, respecting boundaries, quietly build safety. In many cases, emotional safety is the difference between short-term attraction and meaningful connection. Excitement can create interest, but safety allows interest to continue without emotional exhaustion. When interactions feel unpredictable or emotionally risky, people may withdraw even if initial attraction existed. Emotional safety also allows playfulness and lightness. When someone does not feel evaluated, they are more willing to joke, share stories, and express personality. Personality is what creates uniqueness and connection. Without safety, personality stays hidden behind social performance. Over time, emotional safety becomes trust, and trust deepens attachment. Attachment formed through safety tends to be more stable because it is not dependent on constant excitement or reassurance. It is supported by the expectation of respect and understanding. This is why emotional safety strongly influences connection. It shapes how open someone feels, how relaxed they become, and whether they want to continue engaging. Attraction may begin with interest, but connection grows where safety exists. When someone consistently creates an environment of patience, respect, and emotional steadiness, they create the conditions where connection can naturally expand. I understand is a simple phrase, but emotionally it carries significant weight. These words signal that someone is not just hearing the content of what is being said, but acknowledging the emotional experience behind it. In human interaction, feeling understood is one of the strongest foundations of trust, and trust is essential for connection. Many conversations fail not because people disagree, but because one or both individuals feel misunderstood. When someone shares a feeling and receives advice, correction, or comparison instead of understanding, they may feel dismissed. Dismissal creates distance. Understanding reduces that distance and creates emotional closeness. I understand communicates validation. Validation does not mean agreement. It means recognizing that another person's feelings make sense from their perspective. This distinction is important because people often fear that validation requires them to approve of everything being said. In reality, validation simply acknowledges emotional reality without judgment. When a woman hears "I understand" in a genuine way, it can signal emotional safety. It suggests that she does not need to defend her feelings or explain them repeatedly. The nervous system responds to this quickly. Tension decreases and openness increases. Openness allows deeper conversation, which strengthens connection. T1 and timing determine whether these words feel meaningful or empty. If the phrase is used automatically or too quickly, it can sound dismissive. Genuine understanding often includes listening first, reflecting back, and then expressing understanding. The sequence matters because people detect whether someone is present or simply using a phrase. Understanding also reduces the pressure to perform. In many interactions, individuals feel they must present themselves in a certain way to be accepted. When someone communicates understanding, it signals that emotional expression does not threaten the interaction. This lowers self-consciousness and increases authenticity. Another reason this phrase creates trust is that it shifts the interaction from problem-solving to connection. Many people respond to emotions by trying to fix them. While solutions are sometimes helpful, premature problem-solving can feel like emotional bypassing. Understanding communicates presence before solutions, which is often what people need first. Feeling understood also increases perceived empathy. Empathy is not just about kindness, it is about accurate emotional recognition. When someone consistently demonstrates that they can recognize feelings, they appear emotionally attuned. Emotional attunement is perceived as maturity and reliability, both of which strengthen attraction. We understand it can also reduce conflict escalation. When people feel misunderstood, they repeat themselves with more intensity. Intensity can be misinterpreted as overreaction, which creates further misunderstanding. Expressing understanding interrupts this cycle because it signals that the message has been received. However, these words only work when supported by behavior. If someone says "I understand" but continues to dismiss, interrupt, or ignore boundaries, the phrase loses credibility. Humans are highly sensitive to inconsistency between words and actions. Consistency transforms understanding from a statement into an experience. Another important aspect is emotional patience. Understanding requires tolerating emotions without rushing them away. When someone allows space for feelings to exist without immediately redirecting the conversation, they communicate respect. Respect reinforces the sense of being understood. Understanding also builds psychological safety over time. Repeated experiences of being understood create expectation. When someone expects to be understood, they share more openly. Increased openness deepens connection because conversations move beyond surface topics into personal meaning. There is also a subtle confidence communicated through understanding. Listening without defensiveness suggests emotional stability. It signals that someone is not threatened by another person's emotions. Emotional steadiness often feels attractive because it creates predictability in interactions. Importantly, understanding does not require perfect insight. People do not need to interpret every emotion correctly. What matters is effort, showing curiosity, asking gentle questions, and reflecting what was heard. Effort itself communicates care, and care strengthens connection. Feeling understood also creates positive emotional memory. People remember interactions where they felt emotionally seen. Over time, these memories shape how they perceive the relationship. Attraction is influenced by emotional memory as much as present interaction. "I understand," therefore, becomes more than a phrase. It becomes a signal of presence, empathy, and respect. It tells someone they are not alone in their emotional experience. That sense of emotional companionship is deeply powerful in connection. When used genuinely, consistently, and with emotional presence, these words create trust because they reduce isolation. They transform conversation from exchange of information into shared experience, and shared emotional experience is one of the strongest drivers of meaningful attraction and lasting connection. Feeling heard is one of the most powerful emotional experiences in human interaction. While compliments can create positive moments and admiration can generate excitement, the experience of being genuinely heard creates connection. Compliments often focus on evaluation, but listening focuses on understanding, and understanding forms emotional closeness. Compliments can be pleasant, but they are external. They highlight appearance, achievements, or traits. Being heard, however, is internal. It acknowledges thoughts, feelings, and personal meaning. When someone feels heard, they experience recognition rather than evaluation, and recognition tends to create deeper emotional impact. Many people are accustomed to conversations where listening is partial. Someone may wait for their turn to speak, shift the topic quickly, or respond with advice instead of curiosity. These patterns signal that the conversation is transactional rather than relational. Genuine listening changes the emotional quality of the interaction. Listening communicates value without explicitly stating it. When someone gives attention, remembers details, and responds thoughtfully, they signal that the other person matters. This sense of mattering can be more attractive than praise because it creates emotional significance rather than momentary validation. Another important distinction is that compliments can sometimes create pressure. Praise can lead someone to feel they must maintain a certain image or continue performing in a particular way. Being heard does not create that pressure. It allows someone to show complexity, uncertainty, and imperfection without fear of losing approval. Feeling heard also increases emotional safety. When someone knows they will not be interrupted, dismissed, or redirected, they relax into conversation. Relaxation allows authenticity, and authenticity strengthens attraction because it creates real familiarity instead of curated presentation. Listening also builds trust over time. Trust forms when someone repeatedly experiences that their words are received and considered. Even small demonstrations, referencing something previously shared, asking follow-up questions, or pausing before responding, reinforce the sense that listening is intentional rather than passive. Another reason feeling heard is attractive is that it reduces loneliness within interaction. People can talk frequently and still feel unseen if their inner experience is not acknowledged. When someone listens deeply, they reduce that sense of isolation. Emotional companionship emerges, which strengthens connection. Being heard also supports emotional regulation. When someone expresses a thought or feeling and receives attentive listening, their experience often becomes clearer to them. This clarity can reduce intensity and create calm. The person who provides that listening becomes associated with emotional steadiness. Listening communicates patience, and patience signals confidence. Rushing conversation can suggest urgency or self-focus, while allowing space suggests comfort with silence and emotional pacing. This comfort often feels grounding, and grounding presence is perceived as attractive because it creates stability. There is also a difference between passive hearing and active listening. Passive hearing registers words. Active listening engages with meaning. Active listening includes reflecting, asking gentle questions, and showing curiosity. Curiosity communicates interest in the person rather than just the conversation topic. Compliments may create quick positive emotion, but listening creates lasting emotional memory. People remember who made them feel understood more than who praised them. Over time, these memories influence how safe and connected they feel with someone. Feeling heard also encourages reciprocity. When someone experiences attentive listening, they often become more willing to listen in return. Mutual listening deepens connection because both individuals feel valued. This reciprocity transforms interaction into collaboration rather than performance. Importantly, listening does not require perfect responses. Silence, thoughtful pauses, or simple acknowledgement can be more meaningful than elaborate replies. Presence itself communicates care. Care strengthens attraction because it signals emotional investment. Listening also allows nuance. Compliments tend to simplify, highlighting what is good or impressive. Listening allows complexity, including mixed feelings, uncertainty, and personal context. Accepting complexity communicates acceptance of the person as a whole rather than appreciation of selected traits. Over time, feeling heard creates predictability. Someone learns that conversations with this person will include space, patience, and respect. Predictability reduces anxiety and increases willingness to engage more deeply. Deeper engagement naturally strengthens attraction. Another subtle effect is that listening allows personality to emerge. When someone is not competing for attention, they express humor, perspective, and individuality more freely. Personality is what creates uniqueness and attraction, and listening creates the environment where personality can appear. Ultimately, compliments can enhance interaction, but they rarely sustain connection alone. Feeling heard transforms interaction into relationship. It shifts focus from impression to experience, from performance to presence. When someone consistently listens with attention, curiosity, and respect, they communicate something powerful without saying it directly. Your inner world matters. That message creates emotional closeness, and emotional closeness is often more attractive than admiration because it forms the foundation of meaningful and lasting connection.